They say that the 70 is the new 50. 70 years old is the new 50 because we're getting younger. So I want to coin a new phrase, 20 is the new 60. Instead of doing a 60-minute presentation, which sometimes seems a little bit long, and people's attention span isn't that great anymore, so I'm going to cut it down to 20 minutes. I decided instead of focusing on one specific area, why don't I take some questions that I've seen asked and answer them and discuss those responses and try to hit 5 or 6 key points every week or do a Q&A. You can always write me questions that you have and I'm more than happy to answer them. That's my passion. I love doing that. Dating is my life. That's what I spend 10, 11 hours a day with. And if you have any questions out there that bother you, that irk you, that you want to get responses to, just hit them my way. I love them. Thank God I can answer them pretty freely. With the amount of experience that, thank God, that I have and having dealt with thousands of people, it tends to come rather, Baruch Hashem, uneventful. So the first Q&A is from a man who's 40 years old, and he's got this whole thing about physical attraction. We know physical attraction. Should I see fireworks? How long does it take? So here we go. I'm a 40-year-old male looking for the right one to share my life with. But there's one thing that's nagging at me, and that is people seem to emphasize, people like myself, Dr. Jack, and many other dating mentors, that it takes about 4 to 6 times to see the attractiveness in a person. And we don't seem to approve of sparks that so many people are seeking. People are looking for that spark, that magical spark. So does that mean he's asking that I shouldn't pursue women who don't trigger that immediate attraction? So what do we do now? He admits that he's dated prettier women, but he's found it hard to stay objective because the chemistry was so strong. Unfortunately, sometimes you get clouded by the physical attraction to the point that you don't develop an emotional connection, and that's a problem because you'll come to realize that basically physical attraction is the match that lights the fire, and we all know too well that lasts about 3 or 4 seconds. But it's the emotional connection, it's the common values and goals, it's the common vision that keeps it going for years and years. And he writes, I usually ended the courtship because I really felt that we were incompatible. But the concept of seeking out less attractive women seems bizarre to me because he's concerned that if it's all about beauty, there won't be much to the relationship. Is there some kind of balance that I could strike up? And how do I get there? So let's hear how the answer went. It's not that there's anything wrong with being attracted to someone from the start. There's nothing wrong with that. The point is attraction isn't always evident at first. I see that with many of my clients. And people are dating for marriage should give it a chance to develop. I just had a situation with a really nice person. After 4 times they went out, and I really wanted them to go further, but they wouldn't give it that shot. The expression, his or her looks are growing on me, describes a very common phenomenon that many of us as dating coaches see. As people begin to know each other and develop an emotional connection, they're able to let go of their first impression, which have been just a bit parv. And they can see the person that they're dating or their dating partner from a different perspective, given a little time. Each of us has a certain idealized standard of beauty that colors our expectations about how a person should look. It's like a preconceived notion that we all have. We think our person should be a certain look. How often are we surprised that it doesn't turn out that way at all? If we're not willing to look beyond that ideal or that preconceived notion, we won't be able to be receptive to other people who don't fulfill those expectations. And you can talk to thousands of married couples and they'll tell you that the person they ended up dating was far from what they thought they would look like. However, many times, if we are more open-minded and allow ourselves to start to enjoy the person's company, we're able to let go of that rigid ideal. And that's a very important word, it's rigid. And take a less biased look. As you begin to see more of the inner spiritual qualities, you can connect with that beauty. And that's important. Spiritual qualities are key because marriage is a spiritual path. And don't delude yourself. If there's no spirituality there, the chances of that marriage disintegrating and falling apart are rather great. And that's the spiritual beauty. That's the beauty that we're looking for. That improves with age, while physical beauty deteriorates with age. So if you're looking for a spouse, that long-term beauty, which looks for the inner core, the inner beauty of the person, is a much more important and relevant factor. You can become attracted to a whole person rather than how they appear to you right now physically. It can take 4 to 5 dates to recognize an attraction to the whole person, both the physical and spiritual beauty. So give it time. Certainly there's no guarantee that physical attraction will develop even when a man and woman begin to like each other. You just have to do it, and you have to go out and experience it. And since physical attraction is definitely an important ingredient in marriage, don't date if one of you or either of you doesn't feel attraction after the 5th date. That's pretty much the litmus test. If attraction hasn't begun to grow by that point, it's probably not going to make it. So date number 5 is about the breaking point, where if you don't see physical attraction, it may not be worth it to pursue it any longer. Also, if you're someone who's bothered by the person's appearance, really bothers you, it really annoys you, then don't keep going out after the first or second date. If it's very clear to you that you can never get comfortable with that person's appearance and get to like that person's appearance, you might as well just squash it. Physical attraction is not something that can be forced on a person. I've seen that happen, unfortunately, and lead to terrible consequences, where I've had clients who've come in here divorced with 5 or 6 kids because they were told by mentors the lady wasn't, in the best of shape, she was a little heavy, and he went out and they told him to lose weight, don't worry about it, the attraction will grow. No. Don't buy into any of that. You've got to be physically attracted at the time you're dating. One cannot deny the fact that sometimes people who have immediate fireworks can develop a great relationship. That certainly can happen and live a long, happy life together. However, this romanticized ideal can keep you from making a connection with the person who's right for you as a life partner. If you're totally focused on having fireworks happen on date number 1, you're in for a rude shock, and you may wait a long time. There's another problem with the belief that 2 people must be instantly attracted. 2 people feel a strong physical attraction, and only after the intensity fades, they realize they haven't put enough effort into developing an emotional connection. And that's a real problem, because it's the emotional connection that acts as the glue for a great relationship. After weeks or months of feeling head over heels, they come to realize that their goals or values were never compatible, or that they didn't really know each other very well. I see this all the time. People come in here having dated a year and a half, 2 years, and they barely know each other, which is a shocker, and then end up breaking up. Just as physical attraction often takes a while to develop, emotional connections need to take root and blossom over time. And I've said it again and again, emotional connections are developed through great lines of questions and constantly changing the dates and what you do on the dates, changing the venues of the dates. In fact, emotional intimacy takes more time to develop than physical attraction. That's the reason daters are against expecting an instant click. Those sensations just as illusory and as physical attraction, because they're based on a first impression that have little to do with what the person is like. You can't expect to make an absolute assessment after having met a stranger in 1 episode. Whether you're attracted to someone in the first meeting, or whether you're ambivalent about his or her looks, but willing to see how things develop, here are some suggestions to help you get to know each other better and see if you have long-term potential with that person. Number 1, look for dating partners who have goals and values that are compatible to your own. Very key here. If you have compatible goals, you're going in the right direction. As they say, love is not 2 people staring at each other. Love is 2 people staring out in the same direction. Are you and your dating partner staring out in the same direction? That's the basis for what's called a binyan adi'at, for a firm, everlasting relationship. On your first date, assume that you're going out with a pleasant person. Try to enjoy the experience of the date. Learn a little bit about someone new, a stranger. Savor a cup of coffee, a dessert, a nice meal. Appreciate the interior design of the venue or the architecture of the venue. Enjoy any entertainment you've chosen and have a little fun with the conversation. But don't put too much pressure on yourself. Push certain thoughts out of your mind on date number 1, such as, is this the person I'm going to marry? Or how do I know if they have everything that I'm looking for? That's just going to create more havoc for you. The only concern you should have on the first date is whether you get along well enough to go on a second date. I always tell people, par or better, you can proceed to date number 2. That means if you're ambivalent about he or she, or feel something you might feel is positive, do it again. Book a second date. The second date should be similar. However, line it up, try to have a good time. At the same time, you can begin to open up the conversation to more deeper stuff and gain more insight into the person's personality, their values. Again, there you would do very well by asking me for my PDF of 100 questions to ask on dating. Values, tastes, and ways of dealing with different situations. For example, how would you deal with a situation if you were embarrassed in a restaurant? How do you settle differences with other people? If you have a burning decision to make, who do you go to for advice? Now you're getting into the person's kishkes and getting to understand how they think and how they approach life. And if you see that there's similar values to yours, you're headed in the right direction. While good conversation shouldn't dominate your time and purposeful all the time just about questions and answers, it'll help you add depth to the way you relate to each other, which in turn can strengthen the emotional connection. This approach will help you decide at a relatively early stage whether you're moving in the right direction and save you needless months and months and years even of dating. Let's go on to case number 2. This person gets a late start in life and doesn't start dating till their mid-30s. Actually, I had a client who called me that hadn't been on a date until she was 52. a rather terrible, childhood and adolescent experience, but it does happen. I'm a 36-year-old woman who's never been in a courtship. I had a difficult childhood and adolescence filled with many family tragedies. Since my family had its hands full and was quite disturbed and dysfunctional, I became reliant only on myself, or self-reliant, at a very young age. Despite these challenges, I think my life in some ways has been quite fortunate. I was always an excellent student. I graduated from a great school. I have a great degree. I've always placed a priority on being part of the community, and I've been able to contribute and offer leadership in return. I have filled my life with great activities and positive people. My work life offers me a lot of flexibility and a lot of mental stimulation. So far, so good. And yes, past rounds of therapy have helped me understand myself and why I've avoided marriage. So here I am at age 36, finally ready to date and love and be loved in return. And I'm terrified. She's absolutely terrified. I feel like I'm 36 going on 20. I don't know how to begin the process. Where do I go from here? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, now, first of all, let's say this. We have to applaud her that she's willing to even start. And we give her a tremendous, chazaku baruch and yishar koach for getting started with this. And first and foremost, you don't know anybody any answers. If you go on dates with someone as to why you started late, you can tell them that's something I won't contemplate responding to later on if we're in a serious relationship. When the appropriate time comes to open up about your past, you might want to say that something like this. When you were younger, you didn't date, or you avoided dating because you were afraid of intimacy, emotional intimacy, until you decided that you didn't want to spend the rest of your life alone. And then at that point you made a very concerted decision that you wanted to date now, you wanted to share your life with someone. You're a giver and you wanted to be able to give and receive. You've now invested a lot of time and effort in working on yourself, and you're looking forward to a great future. That's a nice way of responding to a question as to why a dater might ask you why you waited so long to date. We're sure that many more questions will arise as you proceed into the world of serious dating. Most older singles, regardless of whether they've been dating for 10 years or 10 minutes, will generally benefit from the advice and perspective of someone who has been there before. So I would strongly suggest to such a person, obviously you need a dating mentor, someone to help you, a Rav, a Rebbetzin to guide you. And with God's help, you should be very successful. Let's go on to our third case. We have a situation where kindreds can, pop up, and that is a woman writes that she was raised spoiled and she's dated someone who led a simple life. And she writes the following: I broke up with a man, but I feel like I might have lost my beshert, my soulmate, and I'm just not sure that the reason I ended was a good reason. He's a generally nice and honest guy, and plus he has the biggest heart I ever knew. There's no doubt that we connected on a true and mature level. We basically share the same values and goals except for one thing. He grew up in a very simple home, and I did not. I was quite spoiled, actually. My parents showed their love by giving us things and always outdid themselves by giving us whatever we basically wanted. Looking back, I would say it wasn't to our benefit, but that's the past and I can't change the past. This man wants to live a very simple life. He doesn't have any ambition to earn a large income, and if he ever earns a lot of money, he doesn't want anyone to know about it. He doesn't want his wife to wear jewelry or drive a nice car. Clearly we have different life expectations here and different ways of pursuing life. Is this something that I can come to resent, even if I have full respect for him in all other areas? My parents think he's cheap, and they're the main reason why I broke up with him. Was I right? Answer. First of all, your second thoughts are a normal reaction to what's happened to you. Here was a guy you liked, you admired, you respected, and to who you felt emotionally connected. It seemed like you just had all the ingredients for a lasting relationship except for one major difference. And because these positive feelings remain even after the breakup, it's only natural for you to have questions about whether or not you did the right thing by breaking up. Another reason why you question your decision is that, or whether this is a valid reason to end the courtship. One reason for your ambivalence is the fact that part of you feels guilty for having been overindulged by your parents when you were growing up, and you may think that having been spoiled and having involved yourself in such materialism is getting in the way of good judgment. Two people who discover they have a significant difference in their lifestyle expectations are not a good idea to get married to each other. As a matter of fact, I had a client who called me from Europe, very interesting case, who had married someone from Israel who had never tasted the good life, and she came from money. And he opened the credit card, and it was in her name because she had the credit. And he decided to enjoy the good life. And every 3 or 4 weeks, they'd get away to a 4 or 5 star hotel. They racked up the bills, about over $100,000 in credit card debt. He divorced her and left her with the bill. So you have to be careful that when you marry someone, that your life expectations and your lifestyle expectations are synonymous and are in rhythm with each other. That's very important. A dating couple that's moving in the direction of marriage needs a foundation on which to build their relationship. One corner of that foundation is to have common values, and another corner is compatible goals and expectations for the future. Certainly, if you want 1.5 children and he wants 7, there's a serious problem. Your differences involves both values and expectations. You value ambition and a certain amount of material comfort and leisure, and you want a lifestyle in which these values play a role, and he is against that. It appears that neither of you will be comfortable adopting the other person's point of view or reaching some sort of compromise. And I don't feel that either of you should try to force yourselves to do so. If you do, it's a guarantee your fears will come true, and that is you'll come to resent each other. You will lose respect for each other, and you'll regret the choice that you made. We don't see any place for guilt in this equation. Materialism isn't a bad thing unless it's carried to an extreme. The fact that your parents may have overindulged you doesn't make you a spoiled person who values wealth and possessions above anything else. Especially women who have loved jewelry since biblical times. Indeed, when Eliezer, the servant of Abraham, Avraham, came to look for a wife for Isaac or Yitzchak, what did he give? He gave Rivka jewelry. Women like jewelry, there's nothing wrong with that. For you, there's nothing wrong with wanting a nice car, some jewelry, a comfortable home, or financial security. And there's nothing wrong with him wanting a simple life with minimal material comforts. Both of you indeed are correct. But financial issues can be very straining for a marriage. And it's important that you both be heading in the same direction, or you're going to fight, and you're going to fight, and you're going to fight. You don't want to be in that position, whether either of you is being judgmental or forcing your values on the other person, and then all you'll do is you'll bicker and you'll fight. The bottom line is that you made the correct choice. The two of you were not right for each other, even though so many aspects of your relationship seem to be in your favor. There's an important lesson in this experience. If dating partners cannot find a way to be able to bridge differences, whether in values or their goals or lifestyle choices, at an early point in the relationship, that's a red flag. And that may not be able to be resolved. So choose carefully and realize that lifestyle changes and lifestyle differences can have a tremendous impact on a dating relationship. Next case is, person says, I've been dating someone, a man, for a year now, and he doesn't express any affection unless I prompt him. It's difficult for me to feel secure in a relationship. So now I've closed myself off and not giving of myself because he's not giving. He suffers from some depression. He has difficulty handling stress. He's constantly busy in business on the road. I believe he's suffering from a deep fear of intimacy stemming from some abuse as a child. He wasn't protected by his parents and became fiercely independent in response. We spend quality time together, talking and exploring the world around us. It sure feels like we belong together. I'm 30, I'm attractive, I'm smart, I'm outgoing, I'm adventurous, I'm patient, and I'm kind. I'm ready to find the person to spend my life with. But I keep getting mixed messages from this guy. I've spoken to him about my concerns on numerous occasions. I've tried approaching it lightly, even seriously, in writing, verbally. More recently, he admitted to me that he doesn't feel like he feels stars and doesn't feel the oohs and ahs in this relationship. And he's not sure if this is for him. I'm left constantly trying to figure out, are we meant to be married? But he can't feel it because of his issues. Where does that leave me? How much should I be committing to this relationship? Am I just accommodating him forever, endlessly? Right now, my life feels like it's on hold. I thought I would take all this on and stay with him through it, but it's my own life. And is my life not important too? Even though I'm resisting, maybe I should move on. And the answer is like this. You've raised a number of important issues, but overall the theme is similar. The man you're dating has difficulty expressing his emotions, has periods of depression, finds it difficult to handle stress, has experienced some sort of childhood trauma, has probably not come to terms with, and doesn't know where he wants to go with the relationship. He's someone you would greatly benefit from therapy. This guy needs a therapist. And he's not going to make a commitment to you until he gets to a therapist. It's difficult for people to admit they need and want to go to therapy. Only very clever people that are level-headed can understand the need for therapy and approach it. He could also be terrified about the fact that therapy will require with him to deal with painful experiences they may not want to experience right now. But the benefits will far extend from more than just his ability to make commitment. He'll also be able to get help for his depression, his difficulty with stress, his reluctance to take action in many aspects of his life. So So I would tell this girl is, first get this guy to therapy. It's very important. Let him deal with it. Because until he gets to therapy, he's not going to really be a happy camper. He's going to continue to remain in his neutral position, like a car is in neutral. He's not going to move forward. He's just going to keep you at abeyance. First, get him to therapy. If he's not willing to go to therapy, there's not much hope for such a relationship. Next case. A broken engagement takes place. How do you move on? It's a common question that I get. I've even had numerous podcasts on it. After a broken engagement, a girl writes, my ex has built a new life for himself, and I, the girl, feel stuck. I'm 26. I've been single now for over a year, and after being engaged for someone for 9 months. The whole courtship lasted 2 years. Since then, I've been out on a few dates, but nothing serious. I just don't really know what to do. My former fiancé has moved on. He's going on lots of dates, and I can't stop resenting him. And I actually feel sometimes like I hate him for forgetting about me so easily and being so mean to break up with me. He seems to have everything while I feel like I have nothing. I used to have a tendency to be attracted to not so nice guys or bad boys. I find it easier to spot this now and turn down dates with that kind of guy. All I want a guy with a good heart. Yet that seems to be too much to ask, as all the nice guys seem to be taken. I just wonder how to get over my broken engagement. How do I move on? I'd like to get married, but I'm afraid of getting hurt again. Well, the answer. You're right that enough time has passed since the breakup for you to move on and find the man who's really right for you. However, as you have found out through your own experience, everyone grieves differently. And it takes some people longer to get over a loss than others. What's holding you back from doing so is the fact that the man you once planned to marry moved on faster than you. And it hurts a great deal that he has seemed to have forgotten about you and gone on with the rest of with his life. We don't know whose decision it was to end the engagement, but I do know that both parties experience pain whenever an engagement ends. It's not easy for either party. Some people agonize over the decision to end an engagement, and when they actually go through with it, they have already completed a good part of their grieving process. Others grieve after the breakup, and even if they're able to return to the dating world relatively soon afterward, it's because they've now finished grieving. In order for you to be able to move forward in your life, you'll need to do more than just complete the mourning process. You'll also have to let go of the resentment you feel towards the guy for moving on while you've not. You need to acknowledge that he's already dealt with his loss. In addition, it's time for you to let go of the nagging belief that the two of you really should be together. You've got to move on. Yes, it's hard to do this. On an intellectual level, you understand that since he has moved on and you're never going to be reunited, but on an emotional level, you hope that hopefully he'll retrace his steps and somehow come back to you. That's what you're hoping for inside. You need to look at the reasons you aren't together anymore so that you can understand why you really weren't right for each other in the first place. You started seeing this man when you were 21. Many people in relationships, when they're in their younger years, those relationships don't endure. Even though they got close and they dated for a long time, often this is because one of them, either the man or the woman, the boy and the girl, experienced a great deal of personal development in the relationship, discovering aspects of themselves for the first time, while fine-tuning aspects of their personalities as well as their values and their expectations about the future and their goals. And as a result, one of the parties outpaced the other in their growth. And now, suddenly, the person that you've been dating for 2 years or 3 years while you were 21 is no longer the person that you see as the right person or the partner for the rest of your life with. Looking back, can you see how much you and your ex each changed and grew as individuals from the time you first met until the time your engagement period? At some point, the relationship was no longer right for one of you, or both of you. That's why both of you decided, one of you decided to end it. We hope that ultimately you can view your 2 years together with the mixed emotions it deserves. Despite the pain you experienced when it ended, your courtship filled an emotional need at the time. There's got to be a reason why you dated each other, and it contributed to making you the person you are today. So what if it broke up? But that was part of your journey in life. And it brought you close to meeting a man with whom you'll be able to build an enduring life together. Working these feelings through will help you to move through the final stages of grieving your loss. If you feel like you're not making progress, consider going to a dating coach or a therapist. I can offer one piece of insight that may help you leave your broken engagement behind and move forward. And that is, it could be that the reason that you're having such a hard time getting over your broken engagement is that you never completely dealt with perhaps another loss in your life from your past. You write in your question that you were attracted to mean men, being badly treated by such men, giving the sense that this aspect of your life may not be fully resolved and may be tied with a sense of loss. Those experiences plus any dysfunctionality that took place with your parents may also be contributing to the sense of betrayal you feel now that your ex has moved on. And again, you may not be able to deal with this on your own, so please seek guidance either with a therapist, a dating mentor, a dating coach. And you may need to remember you're still young and there are plenty of great guys out there. You're truly blessed to have so much going for you right now. Happy about yourself, happy about your great job, enjoying the companionship and emotional support of good friends, and you can continue to grow spiritually, go to classes, learn, etc. And within a short time, with God's help, you'll meet your Beshet, as many of us and all the rest of us will with God's help. Again, if anybody has any questions out there, you want me to personally address, I'm delighted to take it and tackle it on. Just reach out to me either on WhatsApp or text or call me, or 305-206-1916, or write me at drjackcohen18@gmail.com. Don't forget to go to my website, drjackdating.com, for great articles, great videos, and if you want to make an appointment for yourself or a friend, feel free. Have a wonderful week. See you next week. Have a great day.